Another 2 house arrests have been made in connection with the Capitol riots in Washington, D.C. The 2 suspects were accused of storming the building, one expressing her intent to shoot House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. At least 160 people have been charged in federal court with crimes related to the riots. Well, Katie Barlow is an attorney and media editor for SCOTUS Block. She joins us now live from here in Washington. And Katie, what more are we learning through these indictments and arrests about how organized all of this was?
Well, as we've now seen over 200 individuals charged in relation to the insurrection at the Capitol, we are seeing a picture of what looks like something that was much more organized than we originally thought. And as we're starting to see the types of charges that are coming, we're seeing what you would imagine: trespassing, assault of a federal officer, destruction of property. But the prosecutors have said that they are also looking at sedition charges and that they expect those sedition investigations to bear fruit soon.
The Senate trial for impeached President Donald Trump is expected to start in about a week. The Senate wants it to last for 1 week. The House wants it to last for 3 weeks. What are your expectations, not just about the duration, but about the possible outcomes and effects?
Well, the Senate will likely be able to decide, since they're the ones in charge at this point. It's in their body of Congress, and we'll see over the next week as they prepare and both sides of the political aisle decide exactly what's going to happen. There are a lot of decisions that were made the last time the president was impeached about whether or not there will be witnesses, how long opening statements will be made, how long it will take to give evidence. In this case, there's only one article of impeachment. A large portion of the evidence is already in the public domain. We've already seen what is tied to the allegation in the article of impeachment. So it's likely to be a short time period. Politically, Republicans want it to last longer because it will likely delay confirming the president's nominees to his cabinet. But the Democrats want it to last a bit shorter so that they can move on to other things like passing COVID relief and confirming the president's cabinet.
There are calls now for holding some lawmakers accountable for their role in the siege of the U.S. Capitol. Some of that pressure coming from even Republicans. It's revealing a big split there in the party. What might all of this achieve?
Right. So we've seen some allegations that perhaps there was some insider knowledge of individuals who were in the Capitol, perhaps even people in Congress who gave tours or were perhaps somehow involved or had knowledge of the plans to attack the Capitol on January 6th. And that investigation is going to take time. Everyone's going to have patience with that. And it's going to keep stoking political fires. You know, there's a lot of talk on Capitol Hill, a lot of heated language, a lot of anger, a lot of accusations thrown back and forth, and that's going to continue while the actual investigation is done and we see the real facts of who knew what and when.
One of the names that we saw floated out there repeatedly in recent days is a name not known to our international audience, perhaps, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, the freshman congresswoman. She's been accused in the past of making accusations like the Parkland High School shooting was a false flag incident. That's something that's been echoed, these sort of conspiracy theories, by the wife of one of the Supreme Court justices. And I know you follow the court closely. Given that there appears to be, at least some suggest, a judicial system that disfavors people of color, poorer people, and favors perhaps, as some argue, white conservatives, how likely is it that these people will actually have to face justice?
Well, particularly regarding Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was elected and is serving the people in this country, as opposed to the wife of Justice Thomas, Ginny Thomas, who you're referring to, was not elected to anything, but Marjorie Taylor Greene was. And her colleagues in the House, some of them are calling for her to step down. Some of them are calling for her to be expelled. There will be an investigation of exactly what Marjorie Taylor Greene has said and some of the violence that she has been alleged to have stoked. And I suspect that that will continue in the coming weeks through the impeachment and even after. She's holding steady and sticking to her guns, so to speak. And her colleagues in the House are continuing to press for further investigation into her and into the comments that she's made, and perhaps even stoking or inciting violence.
But beyond her, I want to ask, because we did see incidents where some police officers were at least helping some of the protesters or complicit in what was happening. Is there a similar concern in the court, in the judicial system, perhaps turning a blind eye to some of these protesters, perhaps sympathetic with their causes?
Well, the Supreme Court itself hasn't had to deal with this case in particular, and wasn't even involved. The building's right across the street from the Capitol. The concern that the courts are actually turning a blind eye is not bearing fruit in the past few weeks as we've seen the judges handling these over 200 cases charged. In fact, there were a bunch of hearings yesterday of individuals who were arrested in the Capitol cases, who are still in jail, and the judges are doling out justice. They are sticking to the rules of law in this country, and they will see justice be done as the charges continue to come in and as the investigations continue to bear fruit of new individuals who are involved. The judges and the judicial system itself is actually doing its job and working functionally well at this time.